So you guys hear the sort of hollow thumping of these gourds as they lope away from the farmhouse, abandoning their claim here. You're standing over the exploded bodies of several of these creatures outside the rundown and dilapidated house. As you enter the building, you can see that the interior, which once was probably a rudimentary but cozy little farmstead house, has been overgrown with foliage. Vines are creeping up the walls. You realize that the damage to it is much greater now seeing it from the inside than from the outside. But taking up the largest space in the very center of the room is literally the largest pumpkin you have ever seen. Potter will whistle and comment that is certainly a prize-winning pumpkin for you.
So I guess there was an evil mastermind to this all along.
Indeed. The elder brain.
It's the Great Pumpkin, Dr. Brown.
I've been trying to remember what the name of the plant from Little Shop of Horrors was.
Aubrey 2.
Audrey 2.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, this is what happens when you don't take proper care of your farm. This is why you should always have living, sentient beings doing your farming.
Well, in this case, there simply was nobody, but this is honestly amazing.
The creeping undead.
Well, no, I mean, that was far away. Yeah. That was days away from here.
Mm-hmm. I guess I should at least investigate it to make sure that this isn't like some well of unholy magic or something.
Sure. You can give me a mind and I guess searching or inquiry.
Are pumpkins gourds?
Probably searching
so.
Because I'm probably not asking the pumpkin questions.
That's fair. I feel like squashes and pumpkins are all gourds, right?
I will definitely start with trying to interrogate it.
I don't know.
Well, it does not respond to any of your interrogation. Kitten, get off my desk.
I've just never been in a position where I've had to ask, is this a gourd? You know, like that meme.
Wow, I am positively terrible at this, but I do get one success.
One success will tell you, as you're poking around the thing, if it did have a mouth, it would have probably bitten your hand off, but luckily it does not have a mouth. It is just, as far as you can tell, a really large pumpkin or gourd of some kind. You can't even tell if it would taste good, but you're fairly sure that it is inert and edible.
You're fairly sure. Are you sure?
Well,
you're sure to the point
to find out, but
just stab the thing and nothing happens.
I don't want to stab it yet, because that would mean it would have to be immediately cooked at that point. But I think as far as this place being a fixer-upper, this might pay for a bit of it.
It could, if you can transport it back to a town or the city.
Well, to be honest, that's not our problem. We have done our job, we've cleared the area, and she has a prize now for her new homestead. Whatever she's going to do with it, not our problem. Not yet, anyway.
There you go. Well, Amelie is grateful.
Amelie, there we go.
Yeah, when she crosses over, when you bring her to the farmhouse, she's impressed by the pumpkin, and she's concerned about the state of the house, but she says, hard work never frightened me. Thank you for handling that. It is greatly appreciated. You know that once this place is in fit condition, you will always be welcome here. That's basically it.
Well, I mean, I guess it's also time to bring Taylor out.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, this would be the time for Gar to express oh, we do anything for you, and then also say, here, take this small child.
Though I already had the conversation about the small child. It's just
exactly
now's the time to tell Taylor about the situation. I mean, we already discussed this with Taylor before as well, but she's had quite a time in between that conversation and getting here.
Yeah.
So, it's like lean down, crouch down to the ground. All right, Taylor, you remember that conversation that we had half a week ago?
Mm-hmm. She gives you a nod.
Well, this is that farm, and this nice lady here is going to be taking care of you from now on.
A moment passes as the two kind of just like look at each other, and finally Taylor will break the silence and say, "Gosh, you're really big." And Amelie will say, "And you are quite small." At which point Taylor will catch notice of the pumpkin and say, "Wow, this is the biggest gourd I have ever seen." And then asks Amelie if they can eat it, if they can cook it for dinner. And this ushers a chuckle from her and from several others. And it seems like they will get along just fine.
Wipes a small tear away from Cordoba, leaves
Oh.
building.
One happy ending down, Gar. 200,567 to go.
Actually, no, on my repertoire, I only have one more to go at the moment. Gotta rename that village. Well,
I guess 50 more to go.
but in fairness, I guess there's also something I have to do for that person that died up north. The burial doesn't feel like enough. I'm trying to make amends for every irregular that's died under my care.
Oh. I like Adris.
So, I mean, Reposo de Razan, you know. Razan's Rest sounds like a good name for a town and honors them for a good time after.
Okay. I like it. All right. Well, Potter is gonna immediately, you'll find him out front, trying to sweep all of the gourd guts together in a pile and light it on fire. He tells you that if we don't burn these bits, they're probably gonna come back. So it's sort of important to do that part. The task will likely take you the rest of the evening, so if you want to make camp here, you could set out for Triskellion in the morning, or you could leave it to Amelie. She can try to do it.
Hey, we already set the big fire.
How far away is Triskellion from here, travel-wise?
Let's check the
time of
map.
travel-wise?
Time of travel.
Like another day.
Yeah, you could make it there in another day of travel.
Then it just doesn't seem like it's a massive hurry to get back there then, since we'd be traveling overnight anyway. Might as well make a camp, right?
Yeah.
And
I
if
don't
in
think-
the course of making a camp we happen to set ourselves to setting some seeds on fire, then there's no harm in that, right?
I
Right.
feel like the doctor's about to go over set camp. He's all excited. He opens up his pack and then he starts pantomiming taking things out of it. And he's like, "Oh right, I have nothing anymore."
Mm,
All I have are these pamphlets. Well, into the fire.
I guess I wander over
seems sacrilegious.
behind the doctor, pantomiming in the obvious way, like, "Look at me, I want attention." How much stuff do you think you lost?
Well, I did lose 200 dinar.
Mm,
Yeah, but I mean, how much stuff do you think you lost?
Probably an additional 100.
Oh, that's a lot.
It is a lot. I might have to start working up another bill for Sir Connor.
You know, you probably should just start charging people for those hashish bricks that you keep tossing out.
Well, I do charge in general. I do have a retainer fee that I'm running right now.
I mean that. Oh, did you lose the weed?
Oh, I lost that too.
Oh God.
The saddest part of all.
Well, maybe I don't know. You can find a use for those books that actually makes you money.
What, to sell these?
Yeah.
I'll just look over to Sicario. It's like, "Sicario, you think you could sell these for money?" And he'll just give me a shake of his head or something. Or just
no, he gives you a waggle of the hand. There's no guy doesn't think he could sell. But you can tell that he's anxious about going to Triskellion tomorrow. He hasn't been very talkative.
Right.
Are there pictures in those books, or are they just all text?
I illuminated them myself with crayon.
So they're chip tracks.
Well, I'm just thinking that if most people are illiterate, you could claim there's anything in these books, and all you have to do is sell them on the concept of what it is.
I suppose so, but this is the off chance that maybe they find someone who is literate who will read it to them, or perhaps I read it to them and I forgot what I wrote in there.
Or you draw little fancy pictures on the bottom corner, and then
Indeed.
you lift the pages up real quick, back and forth.
Here, let me show you some of my masterful artistry. Let me double check real quick. All right. It's terrible. It's a failure. This is my craft.
Okay. Cool. Well,
See,
it seems
this stick figure is supposed to be the sun.
Hey, Sicario, you atoned yet?
Maybe not quite. Okay. Nothing else particularly exciting happens. The morning comes. You guys set off. Well, actually, no. You know what? Hold on. I will say this: that I think Amelie, if she was intending to sort of work this land, probably purchased herself like at least a cart and a pack animal,
Some supplies,
right? So, she's going to try to make the house livable, but asks if you would take the pumpkin with you and try to sell it when you got to Triskellion. She says if it's too much trouble, she'll make her own journey in a day or two to do so, but figured since you're on your way, she would ask.
I guess I am kind of a
We'll be
merchant.
coming back through.
Well, even if we're not, I mean, I could send someone back with the money. Yeah, it's
I think
fine.
that sounds like a great plan.
It's fine. It'll work.
I like it. Okay. So then you guys set off for Triskellion with a wagon carrying an enormous pumpkin and a very despondent Sicario who's kind of like head drooping, marching along with you. And it's not long before you find yourself at the familiar gates of the free city of Triskellion. You can hear the boat traffic from the bay. You can smell all of the dirt and grime and industry and delicious baked goods that carries on the wind from this place. But first you have to get inside the gates, which means we'll have our traditional pretend that you're not Connor roll. Everyone roll to pretend you're not Connor.
I don't have to. I am not Gunner.
All right.
I hear the gates are closed until Tassobianco is caught.
We haven't encountered that story hook yet.
Great.
Ah,
Would this
yeah.
be willing to see?
To be fair, there was Tassobianco in our very first session, although that was before I realized that Tassobianco is Italian for badger, because our Tasso was not a badger, he was a rabbit, which makes considerably less sense.
Oh, right. I
I
forgot
think
we
the last
actually used it.
Tassobianco was a tiger when we did it.
Oh, yeah. It is the
So let's
classic.
see. So, will and deceit. Low profile is a D12, I think, right?
It will definitely help in this case. Yeah, I'll give you a D12.
Oh yeah, it just says that. Okay, so will deceit, low profile. Hey, I'm anonymous.
Sure.
Let's
That could
take the
only help
take
you.
the ex- There we go.
I should probably
Nobody has
roll.
any care for me. I don't matter to anyone.
Unless somebody remembers that smell.
Okay, we're gonna
Only
actually
a
see what you guys
master
are
could be
rolling
as
against.
unimportant as I am.
Okay, you're rolling against 5s, so you want 6s or better, and the doctor is like a fly on a shadowy wall.
Quick counter. Boldly be not yourself.
Yep. Might as well.
Honestly, a personality would be a penalty to be.
It's now or never. I mean, the thing is, when they're like, "Hey, you look like that guy," uh-oh.
Oh, brazen.
Hey, you look
For
like
some
that
reason,
guy, and
I
you're
thought
like-
your thing was bold.
You think I'm not who I say I am? And they're like, "Oh, you're guy. Slap him in irons."
Well, I suppose I could go ahead and give one of my successes over to Sir Connor so that he can get through without being harassed.
Yeah,
I think when you
that'll
transfer
definitely
a die
help.
over, that lets you roll another die, doesn't it?
I think it throws him an assist die, yeah. So you get
Yeah.
a D8 versus 5. Hey, it
There you
works.
go.
Here, just read this and tell people that you want to share, and they'll ignore you.
Oh, yeah, you definitely, Connor, are getting some very suspicious looks. Despite your struck colors, you do have the general description and countenance of this very famous knight of the Avoirdupois, who they have been on the lookout for. So you do get some stares and there are some whispers, but they do let you pass, especially when they question you and you snap at them. Anushka, you also will have to make this roll as well.
Yes.
And as you pass in, I will say too that of all of you, I think Connor and Anushka, the two of you are getting the most scrutiny from the guards.
Well, I look
And you've
different.
got your 6.
I'm not wearing leather, but I do carry a large amount of weapons. But I also have 2 successes, so I keep a low profile. So I
You
can
also
hang
did
out.
beat a 5 with your 6, so you're good.
Oh, and I had to beat a 5.
You only have 1 success, but yes,
I
that's
still
what
have
you
1
need.
success for a low profile.
Yeah. So currently now, because Connor, you're not. Maybe this is an assumption. I don't think you're going in here as a noble, because if
Right.
you are, you'd have to claim some sort of nobility.
He's coming in as a man at arms at the same sort of status as a doppelsoldier, where
Okay.
you're dressed all fancy and you get paid extra for your fighting prowess. So that's kind of like what he's pretending to be.
Gotcha. All right.
So that would
This means
explain
that
like the element armor and the weapons that he's got. They're expensive. He's expensive.
yeah,
He's good at what he does.
I like it. Okay. So this means that Adris is basically, you are all de facto a part of Adris's unit here.
Is Potter in disguise? The real
Nobody even put
revelation.
up a 1.
The revelation we have now that Potter is now noble, and
I guess
I
he's
wanna-
probably in disguise as a squire, right? He still is
funny-
your.
The funny joke is, nobody even put a wanted poster out for Potter.
Yeah, no one has even in all of your travels. Potter he's the
With-
Neville Longbottom of this story.
With how often we put him down, even the adversaries completely forgot he existed.
oh, I can't wait till we reach that final villain, and he goes to stab them, but then he drops the dagger and he stabs them with the other hand. It'll be unprepared. Nobody will
There
see
you
it
go.
coming.
No, really, I mean, this is dumb. I wouldn't actually do this, but when you think about it in terms of like narrative structure, Potter really is the hero of this story. It was his village that was burned down in the very first beginning of it. He's the one who has the most cause for revenge against the crown and the throne and all of this. Like, yeah.
No, if you
That's
think
like,
about
he's
it
your
that
Neville.
way, Potter's story is already done. Delvig is
I guess
dead.
so.
Delvig is the one who burned down his village. That revenge story has already been played out. This is where he gets into
True.
the rowboat off of Triskellion's coast, and we don't see him again for a couple seasons.
Yeah.
And then he comes back all swollen tough
Yeah,
on like the end chapter.
completely unexplained as well.
Okay. Well, the guards will basically, after they have searched and questioned your party, will addressed you, and they'll basically say, state your business here in Triskellion. And while they're saying this, they're looking at the big ass pumpkin that you're carrying.
I got matters at High Court.
Cocks an eyebrow and says, very well, sir. Enjoy your stay in the free city, and they will allow you to pass into the free city of Triskellion.
Please declare any vegetables.
Please declare any vegetables or fruits purchases over. Yes.
The pumpkin is evidence.
Exactly.
Star
In
witness.
a trial, or a witness. That is one thing. There needs to be. Okay, this might be a blind spot, but you tell me. Is there anyone who can speak with vegetables in this setting? Because we have vegetables.
Yeah,
That's things to say.
if you can talk to it, the blessed can talk to it. If
Okay,
it can
cool.
speak.
Highly considering still getting blessed magic at some point.
By the way,
Just for fun.
Well, it actually might be appropriate for the doctor. The only disadvantage is because you communicate so freely, it's extremely difficult for the blessed to lie because everyone understands them.
Yes.
by the way, who amongst you is best at selling things?
You.
Yeah,
think
yeah,
you,
but I've
probably.
got important stuff to check up in. So
I do have negotiation, and we do literally have a merchant friend with us.
Actually, I think Connor's pretty good with negotiation as well, right?
I have a D10,
I have
Yeah.
2d8.
but my will's only a D8.
right, because I'm gonna leave you guys with the
I
pumpkin.
like the pause. I like the pause there. My will's only above average, and I only have a D10 negotiation, so I'm better than the doctor.
I would have a d12 2d8.
Okay, but yeah, everybody in the party is good at selling stuff except me.
Yeah, so I'm gonna leave
Yes.
you guys with the pumpkin to handle the pumpkin sale, and my guys will stay with you. And I'm gonna go find Winter and get caught up on the high court situation.
Right.
I should probably take Sicario to address some old wrongs.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well,
So that'll be a part of my thing whenever we get to it. But pumpkin selling.
pumpkins. This is probably going to be the easiest to resolve because it's just a roll. So why don't you guys roll to see how much value you can get for this prize-winning pumpkin?
Okay. Who will
What's
take
the average
lead?
for extravagant items? There should be. I think
There's at the
money.
very end of the equipment chapter. There's a vague guideline that if it's extravagant and it weighs this much, you get this much money for it.
Extravagant is 300 per stone. I was literally
There you
already on that page for no
Or
reason.
300 per
What
6 kilograms.
Page
what
108.
page is it? 108. Cool. Then he's probably not an extravagant. I mean, it is still just a
Expensive
mundane
is 60
pumpkin.
per
But
stone.
Yeah, I mean, extravagant is anything in the game that you can't assume you could just buy anywhere.
I don't know. Giant pumpkin.
I think the thing here is that, like, because it's
Yeah.
per stone, the value is going to come from just how large the thing is,
And that's
not
just a
necessarily
vague-
how rare it
We
is.
just put that in there as a vague guideline.
That bring it to
though.
an
Yeah.
auction then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we want to unload it. It's going to go bad. We don't have a fridge.
It is also rare. You have these good multipliers here, where a rare item is double the price too.
And none of
So-
us bothered to check the gourds to see if they had spiked daggers in them, did we?
So the gourds, yeah, I was
Guess I did
debating
search
actually
the
saying
area,
this.
but shrug.
Yeah, there's specific weapons the gourdlings' natural
Yeah.
weapons can be harvested.
Yeah,
Well,
if
we
you
got
guys
our
wanted
big
to do
prize, and
that,
I
you
think
could.
that's the thing. Yeah.
If we wanted to do it retroactively, you could. It's cool. This book has a bunch of like crafting style items and interesting like flora that could be used in cool ways too. I did not point that out. But
Harmon
if you
used
want
to have the acorns, the holy acorns, because those were
Yeah.
what Harmon was going to use to fight supernatural creatures. So
Yeah, because
Never
there's
got to happen.
I think you can get a gourd. You can get the gourd thorny spine
Yeah.
as a dagger. I forget if they actually have whips. Do the gourdlings have whips?
Yeah, so the ones you fought were spiny gourdlings,
Mhm.
which have no loot, but the rattle catches have teasel lashes,
Yeah, they have the
Teasel.
lashes. They have the whips.
the whips.
So the thorny whips that the rattle catchers use, you can cut those off and just walk. Wee! I got a whip now.
Basically, if you guys wanted to.
Well, yes, of course I want to.
Okay, cool.
And if you don't mind, Red, I was thinking of having my Crusaders, the two that are injured and sick, end their pilgrimage at Triskellion, and then my irregular roll from the beginning of the session just means I get them replaced with two more random people.
Right.
That's up to you.
Yeah. I think
Is
that's probably fine.
I figure Triskellion's a good pilgrimage spot, and these are Crusaders, so they would be all into that.
Yeah. You know what? Actually, I will say, and this is just because we're down to the last hour, let's wait until next session and roll for it.
That's fine.
Yeah, just to keep,
The pumpkin suspense.
the pumpkin. Yeah, exactly. So here's what I'm going to say. I feel, how much does an average person weigh in stone? Like 10, 12 stone?
A stone
In
is
this setting,
14
usually
pounds.
8. We
8?
usually
Okay.
assume people are. We went with the Zootopia model. Thank you for
Yeah.
Zootopia for coming out and validating our model. So usually people in this game are about 48 kilograms or about 100 pounds, which is about like 4.5 feet tall, which is like medieval people are usually about 5 feet tall. So that's not that bad.
Right.
So usually like a body, they'll be about 4, or actually I think it's usually closer like 6 to 8 stone. Usually I was using the body die. So if a person has a body die of D6, they would weigh 6 stone. That's what I used to do. People yelled at us, so we took that out of the book.
Okay.
So
thought
yeah,
that was
most people will be in the 6 to 8 range. And so if it weighed about 100 kilograms, if it weighed about 6 stone, you could say this is a man-sized pumpkin.
Yeah, well, this is a really, really big pumpkin.
It wasn't
So-
giant, was it?
I'd say it was giant, yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, well then if it was giant, it could
Yes.
weigh like that's cube squared. So that could weigh like 6 to 8 times as much. So that could easily
That's what I was
be-
thinking.
Yeah, so this could easily be wow.
I was thinking like a
36
48.
to 40 stone, which means it took us a litter to carry it here since we didn't have a
Yeah. Well, you had a wagon that you.
we did have a
was
wagon. Okay, good.
Emily's wagon. Yeah.
So we have a
So she
wagon
gave you a
sized
wagon.
pumpkin.
Yeah, wagon-sized pumpkin, exactly. And I think, so what I'm looking at here, so 48, an average item is 12 per stone. So I'm going to multiply 48 by 12. 12 gives us 576. So if you can find, that's a lot of money. Damn. Okay, so I want to say that, like,
when you sell something used, remember that's when you buy it. In Ironclaw,
Right.
you get 20% of something's value when you sell it. Unless you have
0.2.
haggling, and I think
Right.
Gar is our only one with haggling.
yeah, so still that's pretty good. At the base price for this thing, you guys could get 100. We'll just round it down and say 100 denarii. If you can succeed on this selling roll, then
My first thought is, who's been using my pumpkin?
there you go.
This
But yeah,
pumpkin's
if you
been
guys can
used.
succeed, I'll give you 1.5 values for it. So I'll give you 150. So the question is, can you sell it? In this case, because I don't want to create a new NPC for this purpose, I'm just going to set a difficulty of 6. If you guys can collectively get a success of 7 or more, then you're going to sell this thing for probably what it's worth.
Yeah, there's plenty of people who will cheat us.
Right? If you fail, you can sell it for 100 denarii. It's probably worth more than that. If you succeed, 150. If you can get multiple successes, we'll say 200.
Well, I believe we're putting the doctor in charge of selling it because he's our best negotiator.
Right. I assume we're doing this as a singular roll then.
Yep. Well, I'll assist you as I actually have negotiation.
Okay.
I have shitty negotiation, but I have team player. I have rolled a 7 or better. Take an extra D12 from me, Doc.
There we go. And what about Sir Connor?
I can definitely assist. So that would be what will negotiation.
Mm-hmm. Will and negotiation.
You got D8 for me.
Okay. Nice.
There you go. 1 extra D8. And hey, Sicario is here. You're a merchant. Why not help us
Yes.
out? Give me a D8.
All right.
All right. So I'll throw on a D8.
Throw in a D8 for Sicario.
I have no
And
doubt
remember
he
you
can
want-
make this.
7s or better. We got this.
All right. So we got a bunch of D8s and a bunch of D12s, and a lot of these look positively terrible. Do I have a knack
Okay.
for negotiating?
Do you?
Yes, I do. In fact, now is probably the time to roll knack.
That's where I
was
got my
the-
D4 from.
Best time to
Abysmal.
use it.
We
Yes.
got knack for negotiation a long time ago.
Oh, I also have
Oh!
an extra D8. I forgot about that.
Nope.
All right.
Well, you
Smelling
got
nice
bonus
does
to the
not help me
D12.
sell off a giant pumpkin.
So I really like this because it proves that you guys are not Triskellion natives, because you are country bumpkins and Dollaro pagans, and these Rinaldi folks are not buying what you're selling. They're smooth talking negotiators, and the guy basically says, like, listen, I'll give you 100 denarii. You'd be lucky to walk out of here with 60 or 70. So this is a steal. And after a day's work, you feel like that's probably as good as it's going to get. So.
Oh, so we've been talked down to 60?
No. You'll take 100. He's telling you he's
Okay.
going to give you 100, and he's being nice. Although in the reality of it, you've been played.
We have at least managed to sell it.
You don't have to sell it.
Work. Yeah, this is the easiest money we've ever made.
I'm
Exactly.
totally down for that.
I mean, I feel like some of my guys are going to remind you, that money's not for you.
Oh, right. Tell you what,
There
I'll
is
drop
that.
I'll drop personality on it. I want to help this person out. Let's see if I can get one more.
What's your personality?
Evangelical. They do not care one bit.
It's funny how much
This
your
is
personality
fate.
has been pushing people away. In fact.
This is fate. I mean, you guys can claim a finder's fee of like 10% or something if you'd like, but you gotta talk that over with Amelie.
Well, we do have all the extra like daggers and stuff if we want to sell those off. So we can cash those in later if people want to do that in the background.
Well, I was going to suggest that you just give the money to one of my guys. My guys will just ride the cart and everything back, and we don't have to handle any of this on screen.
Oh yeah, for returning that, yeah, that's fine. I'm talking about like
like-
the profit we make off of this, which could be like all the plant daggers and stuff.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about the money from the pumpkin.
We killed 2 rattle caches, which means we have 2 teasel lashes.
Yes.
Which means I could have 2 whips.
If
you
you
wanted
wanted.
to keep them?
Sorry, I didn't know Dr. Seuss had joined the call.
Well, selling we'll only get $6 if we sell them.
Ah.
And so what they are is they're basically a whip that does +1 damage.
Nice.
Which sounds great, but the big problem is like damage +2 weak. Like
And what about the other weapons?
But you can't parry, but you can like grapple with them, right? I assume.
No.
I think you can.
Can't do that either. You just whip people with them.
What the
They
hell?
lack the motive force that the original Living Planet. But it's a one-handed weapon. Okay, hey Connor, you ambidextrous bastard. So it's a one-handed weapon. So if you're like, oh, I don't know, Anushka, and you're fighting, you can have a whip in one hand and a sword in the other, and you can be striking at both close and reach at the same time.
Interesting. Yeah.
You can also be threatening at close and reach at the same time.
I would have to not use the buckler, but in certain fights that might be advantageous.
On the other hand, I might just go ahead and fight with them since I'm supposed to be support.
Right.
But I mean, yes, it's so now we have the problem where, not only do I have huge mobility, I also have huge reach. So I can show up and annoy anyone, anywhere.
Yeah, there you go.
Competition, Doctor.
Right. But you did say that there were the extra daggers too. How much are those worth?
I don't think we got the daggers. I think you mentioned the only loot. We didn't get the.
Okay.
Yeah,
so there's nothing else to bother with.
Yeah, there's like other like heavy thorn.
No, the regular ones didn't have it, and they weren't the poisonous gourds either, right?
No.
Okay, so they don't have any gourd poison. The alchemist would have wanted that.
So we have 2 different parts we can deal with. One is the trial, and 2 is dealing with Sicario. Which of those?
Yeah,
do
sorry,
I'm
mistaken. The daggers are in a different evil plan.
Oh, there you go. Never mind then. So yeah, I mean, we came all this way for the trial. Gar's involved in the trial. We have it set up. They've been there for a day, and Winter has been busy with it. Let's see how the trial's going.
Okay. So, Gar. So first question, because we're getting into medieval bureaucracy, and this is not my strong suit, but some of you guys have thoughts. So let's see.
The High Court is described in the book, by the way.
I was looking for the High Court. I did not find it. I checked in the Rinaldi section.
I mean, it's the one where there's a number of sitting nobles from all the blooded Rinaldi and Rinaldi subhouses.
Gotcha. would this take place at the chateau, at the castle, or do you think they have is there like a courthouse set up?
I don't know. Raph,
Raph, what do you think?
What, the High Court?
Yeah.
where it takes place.
Well, usually, all right. So in Triskellion, there's the palace, and the palace
Indeed.
is usually where the nobles meet.
By the way, 220.
So,
right.
but court,
220.
when we say like court is in session, it would only be in session during certain times. In theory, they would have a court schedule posted to be meeting. In practice, the Rinaldi are a corrupt and lazy government, which means the court meets whenever they say it meets.
Gotcha.
And then, of course, so
Remember,
like-
though, we're talking about High Court, not the Court of Commoners.
no, the court of commoners would be meeting a lot more often because they need to arrest you and sell you into slavery. Yeah, no, the High Court would meet at certain dates and times whenever the king wants it to happen.
Gotcha.
But
So
the
okay.
king isn't on the High Court.
The king is what?
Said, well, this doesn't say that the king is on the High Court.
No,
The High Court is a bunch of people, a bunch of blooded nobles serving for 5-year terms on the
Right.
High Court.
well, you're asking when they would have audience with you, right?
Well, I don't know. We sent these guys ahead of time, so I assume that they
Yeah.
would have, during that day, set things up ahead
Okay,
of
well,
time.
no, if you wrote to them and they said, then yes, they would be open unless they're blowing you off. Did they blow you off?
Don't know yet.
Well, we don't know yet. We're figuring that out now. Let me just.
I mean, it's funny because
Yeah.
it's politics. Do they take you seriously or not?
Well, again, I sent Winter ahead to set things
Yeah.
up in my stead
Yeah,
with
so
my
we'll-
signet ring, but I don't know yet. We're finding out.
Yeah, we'll find out. I mean,
Yeah,
you arranged ahead of time, so yeah.
So here's what. Okay, so here's what you know. Here's what Winter reports to you. Inconsequential stuff first. All of the villagers have been thrown into the dungeon of the palace. They're awaiting their low justice, but it doesn't seem like it's going to end up well for them.
You reap what you sow.
Reap what you sow. This includes lovable faces like Isidore, the poor lion who lost his thing, and
Who wanted you to sign your
Elise-
names into books and get your lives
That's true.
stolen away.
Elaine, the female skunk librarian, who's just been a real
Pain in the ass.
mean lady to you. So I guess that one's not too much love lost.
Look,
But anyway, so
and
they're
these guys turned
in the dungeon.
adorable real quick when their life was on the line, but they were real willing to sell your life up the river when it was business as usual. So, reap what you sow.
okay. All right. So they say that currently, their Winter says that they are setting up a date for the trial of Marcade. Right? Marcade was basically placed under house arrest, I guess. This house arrest is in one of the royal, I don't know, like noble houses, basically. And the trial that they're going to hold is essentially to find him guilty of the crimes that you have accused him of. But as of right now, since you're basically acting as the prosecution for this, because Etulio is currently sticking with he hasn't seen anything. He hasn't seen any signs of wrongdoing. He found a town, the mayor had abandoned it. Apparently there was claims of dark magic, but nothing that he saw. So basically what Winter is telling you is that they're trying to sandbag this whole operation. It seems like Marcade must have friends in high places around here. And
Just to clarify,
yeah,
what's his name again? Julio? Etulio? Etulio. With a C.
I have Eutalio. I'll write it in the chat.
Okay,
I could be saying it wrong too.
No, I just thought I was hearing an Etulio and not an Etulio. Sorry. There is a small, meaningless difference that no
Technically,
one's
it's-
going to pay attention to.
Talio? I don't know. I screw myself up with these.
Anyway, my question was, Etulio is being a witness? What is his role here? Because once again,
Yeah.
he's not factoring in on anything other than what I went there, I saw, I came back.
Basically, yeah. we discussed last time that like he's as an inquisitor for the church, he's there to determine if there's necromancy or black magic, right? As a lawmaker, though, he doesn't really have that. So in the trial of Marcade, he's acting as a witness.
Yeah, that's what I meant
he's
to
already
say,
kind of
because
found
once
him
again,
innocent.
under clerical law, he has full authority. But under, judicial law, he is as common as anyone in the House of Commons.
Exactly. So you came in he came in and says like, I don't see anything wrong here. And you're like, well, I'm taking this to court. So, right. And in that case, your Winter has made your claims known to the court, and they have arranged to discuss and find a date, essentially, where you can hold this thing. But again, Winter tells you that he's getting the impression that they're just going to keep this thing in bureaucratic limbo for as long as they can, probably forever. And if you don't show up yourself, certainly they're just going to ignore it.
Okay, so here's the thing, and here's my problem. I'm going to discuss this out of character right now.
That's
Meta. Being that the High Court, there's a representative of every noble family in the High Court. And everyone has to serve for 5 years, meaning that there's at least one person in the High Court that is
a
House
relative
Gar. Yeah.
of Gar, yes.
In theory, if they bothered to show up that day.
Sure, but we are very much, as I've described it in a one-paragraph description of House Gar, and not making stuff up right now, we are a very political house. We don't fight, we manipulate.
Right. If you wrote in advance and that got to your relatives, then your relatives would have made a point of showing up that day. I mean, they like you, right?
Well, I'm saying if they... are we saying that the House of... the High Court, sorry. I keep wanting to say House of something. Are we saying that the High Court convenes and people travel from across Rinaldi territory to get here, or that they live here in Triskellion and that they convene here in a specific location?
See, that's a fun question.
Question.
Let's get into Middle Ages. So we have something called feudalism, which is the idea that the king rules over all of you, and all of you have to do stuff that the king says. But of course, a lot of you are going to be lords and say, we have to take care of our land. So in which case, what you might do is you might say, hey, I need someone from Doloro domain, or what's Gar subservient to? What's your house, Rinaldi?
Rinaldi.
Yeah. Okay, well, we're in Rinaldi domain, so right. So in other words, the king needs someone to serve in the court. So the king can appoint someone, and then that person might appoint someone else. So for example, the Doloro could either blow court off completely, like we don't care what you guys do, but more likely they would find some loser who probably did something really embarrassing in Doloro domain and say, okay, you go to Triskellion, sit on this throne, shut the hell up, and watch what they're doing. Or you might have someone who has ambition, who, hey, I'm, here I am in Bruges, I'm a Grey Howdy. I'm never going to be as important in these high muckamucks. I know I'll pull some strings and get the job in Triskellion and get the job to sit on the High Court. And that way I can manipulate things in the biggest city in the world. And I'll show them, because they won't know what's going on there unless I write notes. Or you might even get delegated to a sub-house. They might delegate it to the Reprosa or the Kennel or something like that, and have them doing it instead as a favor to them. I mean, there could be all these reasons. There could be anybody here.
Well, that's what I'm saying is, though, what you started alluding to, I recognize, as I remember, that you would have a bunch of people, even if they weren't representing a role, you'd have somebody from that house, so if they turned against you or something, you have ransom parties as well. But I'm just saying that what it seems to me is that we're alluding to is that somebody from my house should probably be here in Triskellion at the very least, even if they're not currently in court.
What I would suggest is you send a letter and a head. So what you would want to do is you want to send a letter to the Gar people who live in town and say, hey, I'm coming in on High Court on this date.
Well, once again, I sent Winter ahead of me, and Winter, with my signet ring, also being my servant from the house.
So Winter would have found where the Gar people live in town and say, hey, Master Gar is coming back to town. He needs to be in High Court on this date. Can you make sure to pack the court that day? Like, sign up for court duty that day so you guys can be there? Or pull some strings to make sure that it's your turn on a high court day.
And now this also, that is assuming that Gar has good relationship with his family, which I don't want to blow up Gar's spot.
This is why I flustered at the very beginning of this, because it's two previous conversations that we've had. To me, this is the worst of all outcomes, but I still don't want this asshole to get away with what he's done.
All right, I apologize. Do you not have good relationship with your family?
I guess that's really up in the air right now.
Okay, you player characters can't answer questions.
I can't answer yes or no questions, right? I've leveled with Red on this.
Yes.
So Red can be the determining factor. I cannot.
Okay, so in other words, I'm making an assumption here that you would have sent Winter to your house. And what you're saying is, no, I would prefer if someone else was in court.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that's like you didn't let this into the end. I'm saying this is the worst of all outcomes. I'm doing it because I don't want this asshole to get free, though.
Yeah, the reality is that...
I'm doing things I don't want to do because I have to do them.
Yeah, the reality is that it seems like... And this is something that Adris has expressed during our travels, too. He has no interest in returning home. He hasn't said exactly why. It seems like he's in a situation now where there's going to be at least a representative of his house present for these proceedings, even if he kind of would rather not bump in.
To help out here, I'm just going to ask a objective question. When you sent Winter to Triskellion, where did you send him? Did you send him to walk off the pier?
What are you talking about? No, I sent him to officiate things for me ahead of time.
So when he arrived in
Triskellion,
where did Winter go?
Wherever he would have to go. He's my servant, right? He knows more about these things. I think like you're making this more of a thing than it is.
I think I know what you're trying to get at, though, Raph.
Where did you send him in the city? Where did he go?
Wherever he had to go. I don't live in Calabria. I don't know out of character. Yeah. He went wherever he had to go, Raph.
He did not go to the household of Gar in Triskellion. He went to the High Council.
When I think of Triskellion out of character and I try to put myself in the city, all I can think of is entering the gates, seeing the giant cathedral, and then I have no idea what the rest of Triskellion would look like on a street view.
Well, there's a map in the book.
But, but I mean, it's not very... It's all a bunch of cluttered houses. Like I said, the cathedral is very illustrated. It's easy to think about.
Then here is what I would assume, and I'm just gonna leave this out there. Okay, so you sent Winter to make sure that there would be a high court meeting on the day that you came to the city, so you can meet with the high court. Is that correct?
I have said it. Okay, let's just take a step back here. Red, why don't you please continue? Like I said, I don't mean to offend Raph. I just think that he was already going in and you just started adding things.
I will take
you guys seem to be asking a lot of questions, and I officially do not understand anything you guys are doing. So
you have been very helpful in helping lay out the landscape of the bureaucracy, the court, which is really what I wanted help with in the first place. But here's what happened. Winter got to the city. He looked up, he found the location of where the High Council would meet, or the representatives you have to discuss when bringing these kinds of matters to the High Court, right? And he said that he represented Adris Gar of House Gar. He presented the ring. He said that he's bringing charges against this Marcade, a criminal, a baron who was brought in captivity under the care of Utalio. And they shuffled some papers and they said, all right, we will consider this an official request for a trial. In the meantime, we are remanding Marcade into the care of one of our a royal attendant, basically, to be kept under house arrest until his innocence can be proven. But as a man of high standing within the court of the Rinaldi Jakoba, he is not going to be thrown into the dungeons like a... That's not going to happen. He says, return here in 2 days' time to receive the court date, and make sure that your master, Sir Adris Gar, attends as well, right? When this happened, this is a little bit meta, but I'm just going to share it with you. When this happened, the word went through the grapevine. All of the judges or judge representatives, essentially, that would be present at this thing, would have received notice that this was happening. One of those would be the representative for House Gar, and that person would have raised some flags. So basically, Adris would be aware that at this point, there are relatives of his. If they're in the city, they know that he's there too, and that they may be on the lookout for them. If they're very concerned, they may even show themselves at the court, because that would be an opportunity to find. So that's the risk that he's taking, showing up to court.